The next speaker is Dave Zien, the past Wisconsin State Senator. Come on up, Dave. Take your time.
Thank you very much. That was Gary Wetzel on the phone. He is sick in bed, on his back. He hasn't been out of bed all day. So he apologized to the group that he could not make it. So sorry for taking that phone call if you think I was interrupting something. But thank you very much. This is indeed Vietnam Veterans Day. Thanks for being here. And it's just, each of you are representing a lot of people that are not here. Not here because they got other things to do. Not here because they're deceased. And today, I was thinking, and I woke up dreaming about Kerr Morgan. I'm going to talk about my little dream. They were passing around a bucket right here in this very building, and the bucket got to Kerr, and he was looking for change. And somebody next to him said, "You need change for a 5 or a 10 or a 20." And Kerr said, "I need change for a dollar bill." And so he put money into the bucket. What a dream, Kerr. Well, I'm going to pass out a few things here. And I only got, what, 5 minutes, Dennis? I think you said 5 this time? Okay. A couple of things I'd like to pass out. But Dennis Wood, Kerr, and I, in 1982, had an experience which led Dennis Wood to do these kind of events across the state. And actually, these type of events started in 1975. And VFW 305 had 2 events at the Chippewa Valley Technical College and at VFW, April 3rd and 4th, 1975, 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Very successful. And I'm going to pass around a couple things, and you might be enlightened a bit. But I got a letter right in the very front. Think of the irony. I was going through records the last couple weeks trying to find things. We don't have it all here like yesterday, but we got the most comprehensive collection of the early Vietnam veterans activist movement back to 1970, when Ted Fetting was the very first Board of Veterans Affairs appointee, and he was our main speaker yesterday. But when you open up this packet, the very, very first thing that you'll see is a letter from Kerr Morgan and we held a Veterans Information Days in Ladysmith, Wisconsin, 1977. So I wonder if you can pass around this, and if anybody wants to look at it, it's kind of bedraggled, but just take a peek. There's a lot of Veterans Information Days, including Prentice and Phillips and Park Falls, Ashland, Medford, throughout the state of Wisconsin, for that matter. And then in 1982, when Dennis and I and Kerr, did anybody else go on that trip in 1982 to Washington, D.C.? Gary Wetzel and I spearheaded the effort for 4 different buses that went, 172 people. And Gary Wetzel took out a personal loan for $1,800, and then he got paid back a little later. But this was, the Medford Star News did a special on that, and they won first place in the whole state of Wisconsin for this publication, what you're about to see. Joe, if you can just pass that around, and there's a number of things. But the bottom line is remembering those who are not here. And two sets of people I think we should pay attention to. And so often we talk about the Vietnam vets and their future and their loved ones who are on earth now. But what about those who have walked on? What about those who have passed away, committed suicide, or neglected their health, didn't follow their doctor's orders? What about those individuals that gave up? We will not give up. We will not forget. And one thing about this year's theme that we talked a little bit about yesterday, in Vietnam veterans, you'll hear a speaker in a little bit. One generation will not forget another generation. We believe one of the things that came out yesterday, one generation of veterans will not forget to say thank you to another generation. And John Bach, was John Bach here? I wish you could hear this guy speak off the record when he talks about some of his military experience, about what he really feels, how a patriotic American he is. He's bound because we're on film. You can't talk like you should. You could. You would. But John came up with the term. And Jimmy Boy is hoping to spearhead this legislation, or somebody throughout the state. We're looking to name Highway 8 the Mideast Conflict Highway. That would include the Persian Gulf, Afghanistan, Iraq, Desert Storm, the whole Mideast conflict. But the one term that is so important. Not only Afghanistan, Iraq, Persian Gulf, and Vietnam veterans are helping lead the way, helping. We got one Iraqi Afghanistan vet, I think we had a couple Persian Gulf, Desert Storms, but the term we'd like to add to that, to the Mideast conflict, Iraq, Afghanistan, Desert Storm, and the Persian Gulf is the war on terror. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at war. You're perhaps safer in a military base in a military base in Iraq, in Baghdad itself, than you are in a military base in the state of Wisconsin or somewhere in the United States. We don't know when another terrorist attack. ISIS, they made a vow to come after veterans who have served, suffered, and sacrificed for their country. Not just anybody. In fact, they'll take anybody if you're an American. Anybody. They'll take even Muslims. This war on terror. That's why I'd like to have you hear people like John talk about what it is that we are facing. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and sisters, brothers, we are facing something so horrendous. Chemical, biological, nuclear war. It's not pie in the sky, and it's not tomorrow or the day after. It could be. It could be right at our doorstep. A couple of things I'd like to mention. I don't want to get into that too much, but my time's almost up. Here, before we leave, if anybody knows of Vietnam veterans, if we get their name and address, we can send them something. Maybe the Ladysmith, maybe AMVETS, maybe the ladies. How many people from the Ladysmith Veterans of Foreign Wars are here? Ladysmith veterans. Hold it. We got 3, 4, we got 5, 6, okay. Ladysmith, for example, Ladysmith Veterans of Foreign Wars, Ladysmith American Legion, AMVETS, DAD. You send a list into the Department of Veterans Affairs and we'll have this list at the table. You can get any and all Vietnam veterans, their TD-214 are going to be cross-checked to see if they are indeed Vietnam veterans. They can get a certificate to be put on the Wisconsin registry and be appraised of all events coming up on the 50th anniversary. There are 6 other events. We've had 3 in the last 3 days. There are 6 other major events. And then there's a national accommodation partner. And that could be, we got applications over here, a national application, and that is, my time is up.
No, you got another 5 minutes if you want. I just want to let you know. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay. Fine. Oh, okay, 3 minutes. Okay, but the national accommodation, you just Google Vietnam War 50th anniversary, accommodation partner. Any group, you can be a motorcycle group, you can be the Buglers Association, you can be the Chaplains Association, Legion, VFW, Auxiliary, AMVETS, DAV. You could be a business. Every Walmart in the state of Wisconsin is a commemorative partner for the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. Smart for Walmart. Any business can be a partner. You got to hold 2 or 3 events in the next 2 or 3 years. Here's a little, I wonder if you can pass this around. This is the Wheels of Liberty organization that is dedicated to disabled veterans, or a 501c3. We've got a whole bunch of events coming up, and I'm not going to be able to go over them. And I understand you're going to hear about Honor the Fallen. We got that on here. If there's any of these events that you want to go to, in fact, Tuesday we're going to the Capitol. If anybody wants to meet us somewhere down the road, Eau Claire, Cadott, Augusta, we're going to be going to the state capitol. We're going to be taking a tour of the Veterans Museum and the VIP tour of the Capitol. We're having a hearing about the Wisconsin Veterans Tribute Citizen Soldier Monument at Cadott. It's not on the state map. It's not on state statute. You might hear a little bit from the Purple Hearts about this. And there's a bunch of things coming about among soldiers, among monument, and whatever. 2 other things I'd like to pass out. And just pass this around again. These are Gary Wetzel on page 3, 4, 5, and 6 in that first book. And the last thing I'll pass out is I'm just going to say one word about, I talked about the hometown front heroes and the little deceased. Oh, forgiveness. You're going to hear some more about forgiveness. Kurt's got a surprise to lay on us. But how many people have seen the movie Unbroken? Raise your hand. You've seen that? Okay. That movie Unbroken. Talk about forgiveness. Vietnam vets, have we forgiven? Those individuals that have committed suicide, that have dedicated their lives to being obese, I got trouble myself, but those individuals that don't follow doctor's orders, don't exercise, they're giving up. They're giving up. They're giving up. They haven't forgiven. days after reading that movie, if there's anybody that was, alcoholic, beat his wife, post-traumatic stress disorder, survivor's guilt, 2 years prisoner of war, 47 days in the ocean, he forgave. In the Bible, James 5:16, it says, repent. Forgiving others heals ourselves. And somebody's going to talk about I'm broken too today yet, so I won't spill the beans. In conclusion, just thank you everybody for being here. And just this last one, I don't have time, but there's something serious going on in our schools. The Pledge of Allegiance, the flag, the textbook, the military textbooks, they talk about Korea and Vietnam, and we got to say sorry. Talk about World War II as if we knew it was coming. We could have prevented World War II, Pearl Harbor. They talk about Vietnam vets, they talk about the drugs, they talk about the riots, they talk about the crazy Vietnam vets. They don't talk enough about positive. The Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, starting in June, his job was to review textbooks for 32 years. Ladies and gentlemen, there might be a surprise coming from the Veterans of Foreign Wars about education. When you look at this flyer, and if anybody got the VFW State Magazine, this article is in there. Maybe you can pass that on if you want. But look at the article, I think it's on page 9 or 11. There's something serious going on in our public schools, our grade schools, technical colleges, and universities. And it's about time somebody stands up, speaks out, and fight back. God bless you, each and every one of you. May the hunger, the heart, fire, the belly, and souls on fire. And I would just ask that the Lord would put his shield to protect you from harm and a hedge of thorns to protect you from evil. One other thing I'm going to be passing around is Apache tears. They're a stone. And Billy Hudak gave me something that, okay, he wants me to announce this to everybody, but a lot of Vietnam vets give a medallion. They give something. Thank you, Billy, for this. It means a lot to me. But I give Apache tears. They're a stone that brings good fortune, miraculous healing, mystery solved for people that pray. They're not meant to be an idol if you believe in that. And Johnny Cash sings a song, and there's a card that talks about generosity and being spiritual, miraculous healing, whatever. So thank you again. God bless each and every one of you. And thanks for Vietnam Veterans Day 2015. God bless you.
That's going to be a tough act to follow.